Hi, Kristen. Thank you for providing some extra information about your goals and what kind of experience you have with IELTS. So, all that was really helpful for me to see and to read. So, thanks for including it. Okay, so why don't we go into this? It sounds like task achievement has been an issue for you. So, let's we can do to get it to where it needs to be. Okay. So, in many countries, traditional foods are being replaced by fast food. This has a negative impact on families, individuals, and societies. Okay, great. Individuals. No, I don't know where I saw the word individuals. It clearly says experts, so I don't know why I said that. Okay. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether junk food being replaced by more traditional types of meals negatively affects. All right, you got it backwards. You mean whether traditional types of meals being replaced by fast food negatively. Do you see? It even says it up in the question. So you reversed it. It's yeah. So whoops. Okay. So you reversed it. Traditional food being replaced by fast food. But as you can see, I don't really want you to do that either because then it's pretty much identical to um, what's written up in the task, and you don't want to do that. So maybe we could have rephrased it to say something a little differently. Say something a little different. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether the societal shift towards fast food in favor of uh no no let me change that. Let's try it again. Experts throughout the developing and developed world have debated whether the shift towards fast food at the expense of traditional food negatively affects the community and society. Okay, there we go. This society will discuss both sides using examples from the US fast food industry and recent studies published in the Lancet to demonstrate points of proof arguments. Okay, so obviously grammar was good, except for that one little problem here. First of all, let's talk about a handful of things. First of all, it's not junk food because junk food it even includes chips, it includes crisps, it includes even kind of garbage that you can get at the supermarket. Fast food is something much more specific. It's things that you can get at like really quick eateries where the food is prepared for you right there and then by someone else, and you take it, you either eat it there, or you take it home, or whatever. Okay. But fast food and junk food are not interchangeable. So that's the first thing. Well, the second thing. Then this is an essay that asks you a very specific question. It says, to what extent do you agree or disagree about this negative impact? You didn't answer that. You just said you're going to discuss both sides. Okay. So you don't want to do that because I want you to look at the band descriptors for task achievement. Look at band 7 and it says present a clear position throughout the response. Throughout means from the beginning to the end. So if you want your position to be clear, the easiest, the clearest way to do it is by stating it really, really, just straightforward in your introduction. Okay. So this discuss both sides, etc., etc. It's not going to help you in this regard. Okay. So better just say point blank, in my opinion, this, etc., etc. Now, I want to read your essay and then I'll tell you if it makes sense for you to discuss both sides or not. But I first want to read it before I answer that question. Um, my other question to you is what are the both sides? Because you, it's not entirely clear to me. So, what, whether it is negatively affecting or whether it's not negatively affecting? So, I'm not really sure about that language there. But again, I want to read your essay and see if it actually represents what you talked about. So let's see what you did. There is evidence to suggest that the production of fast food, previously thought of as unhealthy due to the production methods of adding preservatives such as sugar and salt, is changing for the better. Wait, the production is changing for the better? Or do you mean just fast food is changing for the better? So that's a little unclear to me, okay? The central reason for this is twofold. Firstly, there is more general awareness amongst the public of the importance of a nutritional and balanced diet. Thus, the fast food industry is forced to add healthy ingredients to boost their revenue. That's a good point. Secondly, junk food, again, not synonymous. Junk food in some instances may be less costly than cooking your own meal. So, if it is nutritious in addition, it may be a cheaper alternative for families or individuals. For example, McDonald's provides several healthy options um, on their menu, not two. Instead of ordering a soft drink containing high amounts of sugar, you may replace it with a bottle of mineral water, or French fries may be swapped with baby carrots. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that fast food may have some benefits. Okay, benefits, but who do they affect? You said families or individuals. Okay, fine. I just want to make sure you covered it. Although there is a case that consuming fast food may be favorable in some cases, the positive impact of more traditional dishes being prioritized as part of a diet for a family or a person cannot be overstated. This is largely because traditional food is usually prepared at home, which means children can both observe and learn how to cook in a familiar environment. For example, a recent study published in The Lancet found you don't need a comma here, okay? Don't need it. Found that adolescents who got involved not with, in preparing a meal with their family were more aware of the importance of a healthy, nutritious diet than those who did not aid in the food preparations. The study also found they were more likely to prepare their own meals as adults and, in general, ate healthy later on in life. This again led to fewer lifestyle diseases such as diabetes, obesity, and some cancers, resulting in lower amounts of patients needing treatment in hospitals. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that it is highly beneficial for both the individual and society to maintain a diet consistent with more traditional meals. Okay, let me read your conclusion, then we're going to talk about this, okay? So, from the arguments and examples given, I believe although junk food, fast food, in some instances may have nutritional elements and be cheaper, traditionally prepared food has the advantage of laying a better foundation for a healthier diet and reducing disease later on in life. Okay, so obviously it was really well written. I could get through it rather quickly, rather easily, not too many things to change. Now let's talk about the topic, okay? And you're going to see, we're going to discuss together how well you did with task achievement. So there's 3 sentences here, okay? The first sentence is pretty much setting up the scenario. All right. And in this instance, it's giving you a given. All right. It's telling you this is the situation. You have to just accept it. This is fact. Okay. And then they have this opinion. And then you have to say whether you agree or disagree with the opinion on the thing that they have expressed to us as fact. Does that make sense? So, what have they expressed to us as fact? Let's start there. Traditional food is being replaced by fast food. That's a fact. All right. We're not eating it as much. And then the opinion is that this replacement of traditional food is a bad thing. All right. It's bad that we're shifting more and more towards fast food. So, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because if you're going to discuss both sides of this, as you said you were going to, you need to discuss fast food. All right. That this is the trend. Okay. And whether this trend has more positives or has more negatives for these 3 kind of societal layers here. Okay, so your focus should be on fast food, good or bad, okay? And then what you want to do is in your paragraphs, you want to then make some comparisons with traditional food. So, for example, if there's something, oh, you did it, where was it? You did it here, that was good. You said junk food, fast food may be less costly than cooking your own meal. So this is what I mean. This is what you need to do. You need to focus both paragraphs on fast food and then make some comparisons with traditional food like you did here. Okay, that's what your focus is supposed to be. So it's not the positives of junk food, or rather the positives of fast food, the positives of traditional food. There isn't really a question about the positives of traditional food. They're kind of taking it as a given that traditional food is wonderful. This is the ideal. But hey, look at this. We're replacing it with fast food. So talk about that. Talk about fast food replacing it and the positives and the negatives of that. Okay, does that make sense? So this is one that I think a lot of people struggle with. For me, it really comes down to reading extremely, extremely carefully the question and making sure that you're focusing on exactly on what the question is asking and not what you kind of think the question is asking. The questions usually are far more, I don't want to say, a lot of times I find that students kind of oversimplify the question. And I think that's what you did. So you did a positive about fast food and a positive about um, traditional food. So that's an oversimplification because what they're asking is really far more specific. Okay. So that's what I want you to be aware of. That's what I want you to work on. So yeah, again, it's task achievement, and I'm confident that we can overcome this because everything else is really going well. So, but that's what I want you to work on. Okay. So I want you to really study these questions, look at a lot of them and see that, hey, it's really not just a straightforward, oh, talk about why this is good, talk about why this is good. It's usually much more nuanced. That's a good word for it. All right. So what I want you to do is I really, really, really want you to include the image in your essay. Just copy and paste it and just slide it into the document because I refer to them a lot. All right, and it's really helpful. So rather than making me like Google it and try to look for it, etc. Okay. The bar chart compares the sales of brown and black leather shoes between, not between. It should be probably in would have been your best. You could have said among, but in is probably better. In 9 different European nations in 2018. Overall, the country with the highest number of sales of both types of footwear was Hungary, whereas the nation with the least number of purchased shoes in total was France. So did you add them together? Yeah, I really don't want you to do that. If they wanted you to do this kind of thing, they probably would have created this as a stacked bar chart. So I think it's much more effective if you tell me who had the highest shoes overall and who had the low. No, like how can I say this? It's better to tell me that Hungary had the highest sales of black shoes, or rather, the highest sales of any shoe in any country was black leather in Hungary. In contrast, the lowest sales of any shoe in any country was black shoes in, I think it was Belgium. So that would have been more effective here. In 5 out of 9 countries, brown shoes were the highest selling type. France, Germany, Ireland, Holland, and Poland experienced sales of about 75, 125, 100, respectively. Okay. Um, Fine. We'll talk about it in a minute. Out of the remaining 4 nations where black leather footwear was the most popular item, Hungary had the majority of the trade with a whopping 140,000. Italy followed suit with about 125, and the UK saw shoe sales at about 100,000. Okay. The nation with the greatest contrast in sales was Belgium, where brown leather shoe sales were less than 5,000, lowest number of sales out of all the countries presented good, whereas the sales of black leather footwear were almost 20 times higher, totaling over 100,000. Okay, so you had 9 countries. One of the things I want you to remember is that there is information that is considered key features. We know there's 9 countries, but it's a good idea to mention the names of all of them. It's a safe thing to do because I know there's 9 countries, but if I know that I'm missing information, I don't even know the name of them all. That makes me feel like I'm missing potentially some crucial information. So let me show, you know what? I'm going to pull this up because I really, really want you to see this. Okay, so you have 18 pieces of information here, correct? Now, what's considered key is the categories at the bottom, all right? And then, of course, these 2 categories here. These are the key things. You have to mention them, even just by name. So let me show you really quickly how I do this whenever I write it. You know what I mean. So if I were going to write this is how I would write it. So I would start, pretty much like what you did. I already told you about what I would write for an overview. I would focus on that the highest number here, and then I would talk about that lowest number there for my overview. Then I would go into a paragraph about black leather shoes. Why would I start with black? Well, because it's my highest number on the chart. Okay, and that to me is a little more interesting than the fact that 4 countries sold over 100,000 brown. Now, another thing we're going to do is I'm going to really use these numbers along the side. They're very helpful because they allow me to create ranges, or something else that I like to call umbrellas. So you kind of like pick this number 50,000 and say, this came underneath. So, all right, going back to how I would do the black leather paragraph. I would start by saying that uh, regarding black leather shoe sales, 3 countries sold between 100 and 150,000 black leather shoes. Of these, Hungary sold the most at 140,000 shoe sales. This was the highest shoe sale of any type within the 9 countries. It was followed by 20,000 less by Italy. It was followed by Italy with 20,000 less. There we go. And Belgium had just above 100,000 black leather shoes. In contrast, France sold the fewest black leather shoes at roughly 35,000. The remaining countries, and here you can name them: UK, Germany, Ireland, etc., all sold between 50 and 100,000 black leather shoes. Okay, so that's how I do it. What did I really talk about? I talked about these three, talked about this one, and then I just kind of smushed these all together. We don't really care. They're middle numbers. They're not interesting. Okay. But you can see that I named them. I said that the remaining countries, UK, Germany, Ireland, Holland, and Poland, all sold between 50 and 100,000. And then I would do something very similar for brown leather shoes. I would say that brown leather shoes were popular in 4 countries. Or you don't have to say it like that. Doesn't sound great, does it? But you could say that compared to black leather shoes, more countries sold between 100 and 150,000. See, so you're making comparison between the two. More specifically, Poland sold the most of this shoe type, and you can see the number. Hungary and Germany sold an equal amount at X, and Italy was just over 100,000. The fewest shoes of any type were brown leather shoes sold in Belgium. The remaining countries, and you don't have to mention them because you've just mentioned in that previous paragraph, also between 50 and 100. And you're done. Okay? So you spent time talking about the highs, talking about the lows, and you just kind of smushed those middle numbers together because they're not in. Now, I did like some of your vocabulary here. Like, I loved this. I loved followed suit. I actually didn't mind whopping. It's rather informal, but I was so okay with it because it felt really natural. But I want you to think about how I organized this, and how you can do it. You're going to find that a lot of the tasks have this kind of like really clear highs, really clear lows, and then just kind of like inconsequential numbers that kind of are in the middle. So what I just did in that bar chart, I think, is a good kind of lesson on how to handle those. So go ahead and correct these, and let's see more work from you. Okay, good luck.